It's a reminder there of the tiers. Let's speak to Sangeeta Lal, who's in Bristol. As we heard, will be facing the toughest restrictions. Sangeeta, what have people been telling you there today then?
Yes, John, this is just an incredibly difficult situation for so many people, particularly in the hospitality sector. I spoke to a few business owners earlier today. Many of them said if today's announcement was Bristol was in Tier 2 restrictions, they could have seen some light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps making profits by Christmas. But one business owner I caught up with earlier has told me that going into Tier 3 restrictions off the back of a lockdown will mean that his cafe will most likely have to close. It's been his life for more than 30 years and he's already handed out notices to his employees telling them by Christmas they probably will no longer have a job.
You know, you have to be realistic sometimes. When you see the office people staying at home, government recommends people staying at home, work from home. At one point you need to sit down and say, okay, it's Christmas, but not for us. The career is gone, the shop will be closed, confusing time, I'm responsible for my family, for my team. It's not happy time.
And what does Christmas look like for you this year?
Unemployed. Sitting at home feeling sorry for myself, thinking what to do next year. You know, the hardest year will be 2021 for most small businesses and independents. So you need to sit down and plan what to do.
That's just the harsh reality that so many businesses are facing this year. Now, during the second wave, the rates of infection in Bristol have spiked, but the second lockdown seems to have had an impact. Around 2 weeks ago, the rate of infection here was about 470 per 100,000. Last week, that dropped to around 350 per 100,000. But even though that is a reduction, it's not enough. And many people living here say they are overall quite happy that we'll be moving into tougher restrictions after lockdown.
I think it's quite a good thing, really. I'm up for it. I think it's worthwhile. If we do it now, we won't be doing it for longer, for later, and so on.
Well, disappointing. I was hoping we'd get away with 2, and you know, even though the last month it's been difficult.
Personally, now I sort of feel I would just like to get rid of the virus, and we feel we're so near now. So I sort of personally feel that we're worth hanging in there and just waiting for this vaccination.
And Sangeeta, we know the Mayor Marvin Rees had been hoping that the city would be coming out of lockdown and heading into Tier 2. It is in Tier 3, of course. What's he had to say about that?
Yes, John, yesterday Mayor Marvin Rees was saying that he hoped today's announcement would be that Bristol was in the lowest tier restrictions possible, but of course that's not the case. And today he told me that he hopes we'll be moving out of the high alert restrictions as soon as possible.
One of the pathways out of Tier 3 could be mass testing regime. So if that is learning lessons from places like Liverpool. So we'll be talking with obviously our Director of Public Health, with the National Health Service, with Department of Health as well. And if that's the pathway out, that's the pathway we'll take. But we do want clarity from national government on what they see as the pathways out of this tier are.
We have to manage this infection until we have a vaccine or other ways of managing the transmission. This is a deadly virus, and it impacts on our hospitals and it impacts on people's lives. People become very ill. Sadly, some people die. It's a terrible virus. At the same time, the action that we take to contain the virus has other impacts on mental health and well-being, people's livelihoods, people's jobs, all of which affects health. So it's not one choice or another.
So indication there of the fine line that is being balanced between protecting the local economy and protecting lives. And as of next week, Bristol, like so many parts of the West Country, will be moving into Tier 3 restrictions, crucially for the hospitality sector. That means pubs, bars, restaurants all have to close and will only be open for takeaways. The restrictions will be first reviewed on the 16th of December.
Sangeeta.